Call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining.
Here.
Germaine.
She is here.
Littlemore.
Here.
Felder.
Here.
Whitman.
She's excused.
Coangeli.
Present.
Mayor Clark.
Here. I'd ask we all please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we gather this evening, may we focus on our deliberations and decisions that must be made for the future and betterment of our community.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, first item, please.
The first item is an opportunity to amend the agenda.
Any amendments to the agenda? Council, seeing none. Best two, seeing none. Next item, please.
The next item is item 2147, a proclamation.
I find it here. So, we do have proclamations, so I'm going to, oh, go ahead, Clerk. Is there,
That's all I have.
That's all I have, okay, sorry. So there's a proclamation regarding the Halloween trick or treat, and it's an annual proclamation that we move forward to make sure that we set the date, and it sets dates in accordance with our neighboring communities to make sure that we're all on the, kind of the same day and page, and of course it is set for October 31st. So we need, anything else? Vote? Looking at the clerk, I don't think
Doesn't take a motion, does it?
I don't think it takes a motion, right?
Usually you read the
Yeah, I know. If I could find it here in front of me, I would read it.
Proclamation is we're having Halloween on October 31st.
That's what it said. So, yeah, I passed it along for signatures, and I kind of misplaced it here in front of me, unfortunately. But that's basically the proclamation is the council is setting forth the date for the night for trick or treat, which of course is the same night, which is October 31st. So that's proclamation, and thank you. Let's see, make sure I didn't miss anything that's on there. I can't believe we did. And obviously the main thing we want to make sure is the safety and welfare of the children, and hopefully have a great weather on that evening. So that's the proclamation.
Is that 6:30 to 8 o'clock?
Yes.
6:30 to 8.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah.
We does set the time as well. And I know that'll be reported out, obviously again, at our future meetings, as well as through our radio and print media. Thank you, Clerk. Next item, please.
The next item are citizen comments not related to an agenda item.
Thank you. Any comments from those present here this evening? Any comments not related to an agenda item? Seeing none. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and under item B, the amount of payments to vendors should read $532,529.21. 532,529.21.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda the council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, a motion will be in, or any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? Seeing none, a motion will be in order.
You gonna make the motion?
Yes.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we accept and place on file and have the resolutions be carried out on all items on the consent agenda.
Second. Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Littlemore, that all items on the consent agenda be accepted as presented and adopted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining.
Yes.
Germaine.
Yes.
Littlemore.
Yes.
Felder.
Yes.
Coangeli.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item.
I have no further items.
So it's council comments, and next month, Councilwoman Vining.
I didn't have any comments, but I had a question for Patrick, or maybe Vince.
Yeah, we'll start with the city manager. If he can answer it, that'd be great. If not, we'll see if staff can support.
I was hoping I could get an update on the kitchen at ALCC.
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do yet. We still got to get an architect. I think we've had some discussion with Jacobs to get rolling on that. We just need to pursue that. So
Okay.
it's
And is that coming out of capital improvement?
CDBG program.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
That's, Your Honor.
Yes.
In regards to that, any thought when you get the architect that maybe they do it in consultation with the community college culinary program, to have them take a look at the kitchen to see if there's any suggestions that they may have in the event that you want to, I think the center would like to, use that kitchen a little bit more than what they have in the past.
There will probably be some elements of broader master planning of that area. The kitchen's too small.
It is, very small.
So what do you do in the absence of it to make it to work and function? Some of it may entail having some storage that's accessible, some of these exterior cooler systems, but clearly it's not big enough.
Right.
And so I think that there's going to be some, I guess, a broader sense of master planning to take place with that. It's inadequate for just about anything.
It would be a great, if you had a culinary commercial kitchen, it'd be a great program for the ALCC to partner with the community college on offering cooking classes for the community as part of the rec program and as part of ALCC's program. A lot of opportunities, especially with the fact that there's a lot of the community gardens down there. There's a lot of fresh vegetables. Then there's the opportunity to show people how to use those in a correct way. I mean, a lot of opportunities for it. We have a facility.
Yep.
Well, that's good that you're thinking.
Yes.
Councilwoman?
And we have had those discussions with the college, Dr. Kojo and the director of the culinary arts program. So we're just patiently waiting. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jermaine?
I just want to say we had a rally by the river this last weekend on Saturday. It was great weather for that, and it's great for the public to see the changes that are happening down at the battlefield as well. You start to see the river. It's a great family event. A lot of fun.
Councilwoman Moore?
Your Honor, don't want to sound like a broken record, but in a previous work session, I believe it was 2 work sessions ago, we engaged in conversation regarding the improvement of North Custer Road. I still hold that it is something we should consider to engage in, or improvement of another street that is on our list for the benefit of the citizens of Monroe. They are entitled to the improvement of infrastructure, and we as council members should be steadfast to make sure that their requests are taken care of if they are possible. It's their money, not ours. With future uncertainties such as DTE, we don't know how much we are going to be able to improve the roads unless we use money from the fund balance or request a millage, which neither would get my support. Another concern, I'd like to ask our CPC Citizens Planning Commission to consider amending our sign ordinance to include a different style of banner that can be put up going across the streets in our downtown area. Our current ordinance contains outdated language that should be amended to include materials that are better than the ones required and much less costly. Going on Councilperson Germain's words here, I'd like to congratulate our national park on a very successful Jeep parade and rally on the river event Saturday at the battlefield. Nice to see the progress on the homes being cleared in the area as well. It's been a long time coming, and it's nice to see a lot of the progress. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman. I know that the city manager might have, because we, at the last meeting, talked about it at the work session, and your request to at least have an update, and I think the city manager may have a comment about that. I know he was probably ready for the banner, but I know there's been some banner requests, but it's appropriate because it's kind of one of the items on my list when I'll get to my comments, but about signs, but Mr. Pastu, on those two items?
Again, I'm going to reiterate what we talked about at the last work session. Generally, when we have at the staff level, and I'll use North Custer as an example, both Mr. Lewis and I were comfortable proposing something. I thought we had a very good dialogue with the council, and at the end of it, I was very comfortable that we will talk further during the winter regarding the islands, the road geometrics, and the money's not going anywhere. It's just, it's still going to be there and available in the spring, but I just thought, from our standpoint, there was further dialogue needed before expending those funds this fall, and then have someone regret after the fact that we should have given further consideration to a couple of items. So, in that regard, I think the window's closed. I think at this point it's probably too late in the season to engage our our contractor with a change order to consider that. But, clearly this will be back before the city council for further discussion, and hopefully we can pursue it possibly early in the spring when the weight restrictions and the plants are open and ready. So regarding the sign ordinance, we've hit kind of a snag, if you will, regarding our zoning ordinance. One of our consultants that we were working with, they've had some staff change, and things have slowed down on that end of it as it pertains to rewriting our zoning ordinance. We're going to have to figure out how to pick that up and move it forward, but one of those elements would be the sign ordinance itself, and so that will be coming back to the council, well, through the CPC, before the council once the steering committee's finished their work in that regard.
Thank you. No?
Your Honor, regarding a follow-up to city manager's comments on sign ordinance, I guess I'd like to bounce this off of the city attorney. With the changes that have been kind of on sign ordinances, which were accelerated with the Supreme Court decision regarding context, a lot of communities are moving the sign ordinance out of the zoning, and they're making it a police power ordinance because of its enforceability. Is that the direction we should be going in?
So that is something that we definitely have talked about, removing the sign ordinance from zoning, making it its own standalone ordinance, and at this point in time, I do support that, yes.
Okay.
I'll have some more comments on that too after this past weekend, but we'll move along.
Okay.
Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Councilwoman Germani, you took the words right out of my mouth regarding the rally at the Raisin. You're starting to see the river. I think it's nice, and I think it's really going to do something to the real estate on the other side. So that was a fun event. It was hot. My goodness, I'm ready for the fall. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm ready for the fall weather. The Parks and Recreation Master Plan is going to be reviewed at the Recreation Advisory Committee on Wednesday. I just would like to throw my 2 cents in on the placement and design of the gazebo set to be at St. Mary's Park. There's some talk about that being redone and repositioned. I hope that we speak to some interested parties as to how that's going to take place and the positioning of it with regard to the redundancy of the River Raisin Heritage Corridor East Master Plan, including a similarly large amphitheater on the other side of town. The positioning as to the sun, the topography of the landscape, in terms of seating and sight lines to the amphitheater, and also the design of the amphitheater itself as it relates to acoustics, especially for acoustic groups, for non-amplified groups. It matters a great deal. So I just hope that we take the time to discuss how that's going to impact some of the people who are going to end up using that facility. This weekend has some really cool events coming. The Michigan Craft Beer Fest is downtown at 5 o'clock, I think, on Saturday. So that looks like a really fun event. And then the DSO is coming this Saturday on the 22nd. I think that the tickets sold out. It's a free concert, but I think the tickets were reserved in the first 90 minutes or something. I hope that says something about the desire for those sorts of events here in Monroe in the future. I have to give a shout out to our very own Mark Felder, who is the conductor of the Monroe County Community College, who will be a guest conductor for that group when they come visit. And I have to do that because he is my father. So congrats, Dad. I hope that that's a great experience. Thank you, Your Honor.
Councilman Michelangelo.
Your Honor, question for the manager. Interested in the status of the reuse study for the multi-sports complex, where that stands?
Well, that's pretty interesting. We just concluded a meeting this morning that we'll probably have that before the city council at your October 15th meeting. We talked about the lease agreement with that, what the floor plan might look like, and going forward with that, and the significance in utilizing some of the appropriation that went to the Battlefield Foundation to implement that aspect of it. So it couldn't have been more timely question, because I could give you a straight answer with certainty as to
Okay.
that'll come in back.
October 15th?
October 15th is
Okay, look forward to seeing that. That's all I have here.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to offer my condolences to Professor Dr. James DeVries, who we lost this Thursday, September 13th. He was one of my most frequented professors when I attended Monroe Community College, and we developed a long relationship. He served on the ALCC board for several years, and we were honored to have him attend our 75th anniversary and give a history of the ALCC. So I just unfortunately was unable to attend the services today, but I just wanted to offer my condolences to the family, the DeVries family. Thank you.
Yes, very good. Very appropriate. So I have a few comments, and hopefully it won't take longer than what the meeting did, because I have quite a few, and I'm glad that the council members have shared a few of them. So I'm going to start with some review items, as was mentioned about the rally, but also the Recreation Master Plan open house that occurred. The tour that was mentioned during our work session by the city manager, the Heritage Quarter, and I call it Community Development Tour, really reviewing the scope of work, but also ways in which we're looking at the transformation of our corridor along the River Raisin, visibility and discussion on accessibility to the river. It was a great tour, opportunity to really get close and look at some things that you might miss on a drive. We intended to do drive, but we walked the entire south side and north side of the river, and also had an opportunity to engage some conversation with our residents on East Elm Avenue, where some of the homes have been removed and some are remaining, and opportunity to really discuss and review what we've chatted with previously over the past couple of years almost. At the same time, the Riverwalk public engagement also occurred last week. Annette Knowles from our community development, but also Russell Design was there, and that was on September 12th. Some good input there and opportunities for the public, if you weren't able to do it, I'm sure can be forwarded through. Before I get to some of the other upcoming events, a couple of comments. Earlier today we had the City Council work session. Some really good dialogue talking about boards and commissions and opportunities for residents. So those that are here, or many that are watching, think about opportunities and some of the things you'll see from the council and our goals and objectives that we've chatted about previously. I would encourage all of you to make sure not only as you're listening to the council meeting, but go back and look at the work session, the discussion involved in how we're wanting to have resident involvement on boards and commissions and opportunities and things that we're planning for the future. So I'll get the signage real quick, because over the it has been discussed at our meetings and how we really manage that better. It's not always about enforcement, it's really about managing and how we what we allow to be placed within the city, within the right-of-ways, and as was mentioned by Councilor Calandri in the Supreme Court ruling, not really managing the content, but the location. And most everybody knows that when you talk about public property, whether it be the parks or the boulevard between the sidewalk and the curb, and other properties, that this placing of your sign, whether it be your one-day garage sale sign or your realtor sign, that would just seem to be escalating in the volume that are there. The one that kind of over the weekend, and I very much appreciate city manager and DPS removing this quickly. As everybody knows, we have the gardens there at West Front and West 3rd. And there's a directional sign that has a pole with holes in it. Somebody took the time to bolt their sign of their garage sale at the sign, and it was pretty clear. It didn't last long, which I appreciate staff removing. And it's not that we're trying to take and not have people make messaging for what they are trying to do with their homes, but there is a place for that. In fact, I noticed in the Monroe News, there's now a location that has garage sale mapping in there, and that's an opportunity. So while we don't want to deter people from having things at their homes and placing signs of what they're doing, you need to place them on the private property, not the public property. That includes nailing them to telephone poles in the boulevard, and I could go on. There's many. I have a few photographs, and I think now my favorite one was from this past weekend. So I hope that I mentioned the city manager that as we get through the signage and it's not just how we want signs to appear, but where they appear, that we be cognizant of that as a community, because then it gets into what is appropriate, what's not. We can't make that decision as it is. And let's just let one pass, but the other one not. Now you're getting to why we have that Supreme Court ruling. So that's my comment on signs, and I know that the city manager and I will have some conversation and take those from the council as well. So upcoming events and that are coming forward tomorrow, which is Tuesday, September 18th, from 6 o'clock at night to 8 p.m., is the Rotary Club in Monroe, the Peace Summit. And this is a great opportunity to gather together and have conversation. I did not bring the agenda with me, but there's opportunities and presentation from local, as well as coming in to talk about how do we communicate and how do we work together and how do we maintain peace and order as we have conversation. Because we can always disagree, but let's not be disagreeable is kind of a common sentence we've used here at council before. There's an opportunity, and the location is at the Monroe Multi-Sports Complex, which I wrote my other note here and I circled it in his name. I look forward to Councilman Michelangelo asking about the update on the reuse study so we can rename that facility to what it is going to be in the future, as opposed to the former building of some name or another. We do that a lot in our community. It's the former this, when it's been years that it's changed. So a chance to move forward on that topic as well. But please, if you have the evening available tomorrow, September 18th from 6 to 8, please come out and join the Peace Summit. And because there will be youth in our community there as well, and sharing their thoughts and how they see our community. And I think it's good for all of us to hear as who they are, our next generation. Follow up to that on Friday, September 21st at 9:30 in the morning at St. Mary's Park is the Peace Day Awareness and Assembly at the Peace Pole. I want to thank the Recreation Department for refurbishing that and getting new signs. It was starting to wear where you couldn't read some of the Peace for All in different languages. So that's Friday, September 21st. Thanks for mentioning the Craft Beer Day, and I'm looking forward to that too. In the future, though, before our next meeting on September 29th, it is a busy day, and I know that we talked about another activity here that is occurring on that day as well during our work session. So the Native American Cultural Days from the River Raisin National Battlefield Park at the Brownstown unit, Jefferson and Gibraltar Road, is having their Native American. Of course, that's near the 6 Points, which is the extension of our River Raisin National Battlefield Park. That's on Saturday, September 29th at 10 a.m. through 3 p.m., so there's time to get there throughout. Also on the same day, the Philbeck Foundation is holding the Blacktop Bash, which is an outdoor event at the Nicanino's parking lot on North Telegraph. That starts at 2 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. So you can make both of those by the hours that are available. So if you didn't get the opportunity to get a ticket to the DSO and go out to the community college on Saturday the 29th between 3 and 4:30 p.m. is a piano concert at the IHM. And that is a young lady, Nobu Takudomi, who is a sister city student of ours in the past. She is an expert pianist. And if you like the piano, and for an hour and a half, to see one of our student exchange come back for a culture exchange. The Monroe International Friendship Association, which our nonprofit that kind of champions a lot of our interactions, have looked at how we expand that program from just a student exchange, which has been fabulous for many youth in our community, but an arts and cultural exchange. And this is one of the first opportunities for that. They receive support from Hof Japan, and Nobu will be here, such a wonderful young lady, and in a national contest in Japan, she finished third. So she is fabulous, and an opportunity to hear her when one of our visits. So not to take away from another event that's going on, but if you can fit that in amongst the day. And then I think Councilwoman Viney, you had mentioned, or we heard here earlier at the work session regarding an open house at the ALCC.
Yeah, we're calling it the grand reopening
Yes.
of the ALCC.
And that is also the 29th?
Yes, the 29th.
And the time,
12 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Right. So there,
I believe.
Yeah, you're correct. That's what was said by the director, Felix Hill. So there's 4 things alone on Saturday the 29th, and there's opportunities really to visit all of them if you wish to do so. So I always like, I guess before I close, there's opportunities within our community in many respects. I think that council members and myself has used those. So at times when I hear people say, well, what is there to do, or there's nothing to do, it kind of makes me pause for a second. I said, there's always something to do in the city of Monroe and our Monroe County region. It just, some of them may not be to your liking, but I don't know how the items that were mentioned today, there's not something within our community that you'd want to participate in, be exchanged in, and learn about our community and some great opportunities. The boards and commissions I mentioned, but I look forward to our continued discussion on that with council at a future work session as we start to form some of that. Again, I'd ask that if you did not watch the work session on impact, please go back and watch that and get some ideas as we start to have further engagement with our community and our residents. I think that's it. I know I went along a bit there, but Clerk Treasurer Lavoie.
Mine will be quick. I just want to remind everyone that absentee ballots will be mailed next week at some point. So if you are looking to receive one, please make sure you turn in your absentee application to the clerk's office.
Thank you. Mr. Pestu?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
With that, any comments from those present here this evening? Any comments from those present? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion from Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilman Michelangelo to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Vining,
Yes.
Germaini,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Michelangelo.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.